Ascending forward, message number 29. Conversations with the collective consciousness of the starseeds here on Earth today. All thoughts create. Nodes and gravity. The whole of the physical universe is just an idea. It is a range of vibrational frequencies, or a set of specific frequencies, dependent upon the observer's consciousness. All thoughts create. Mother Earth was created by Prime Creator. Prime Creator created all physicality, all suns, planets, moons, and nodes of consciousness. These nodes are the concentration of gravity energy. Gravity is a concentrated frequency dynamic of Prime Creator, and it creates physical mass. The greater the consciousness of the node, the larger the sun, planet, moon, and so on. When we move beyond duality and back into the etheric, everything is energy, a frequency, and a thought. Therefore, the physical universe is only temporary because it is only a frequency. Everything is a frequency. The physical world is a hologram. Nothing in the physical world is real. It is a frequency, measured and understood mathematically, and therefore empirically proven. Prime Creator is everything. Prime Creator is an ocean of conscious thought. 3D toroidal dynamics in the Van Allen belt and the moon. A soul is not a biological body. A soul can still have a biological body, but the soul can be a 12D being in a 5D biology in a place called the new 5D Earth. The lunar frequency establishes the 3D matrix on Earth, and its outer limit is the Van Allen belt. So the Van Allen belt contains the 3D conscious matrix of humanity. The 3D matrix energy is a toroidal dynamic. Where there is a concentration or peak of gravity, a toroid develops around it. A toroid is a self-sustaining energy dynamic. It sustains its own energy from source energy, and it stays the same unless we learn and grow. The 3D matrix toroid is where the collective group unconscious mind is maintained. A 3D matrix toroid perpetuates the 3D human programming. As outlined above, a toroid is a self-feeding frequency generator with a set of frequencies that influences the observer's consciousness, maintaining a set of beliefs with specific frequencies. In other words, a toroid keeps creating the same ideas about who a human being thinks they are. A toroid can be seen as a loop that keeps recreating the thoughts in the human being's consciousness that is maintaining the program for the designed human experience. It recreates the same life scenarios over and over again. So a 3D matrix consciousness can only manifest the frequency of thoughts that are contained within their toroid. The 3D matrix consciousness has its own toroid that also feeds the human collective unconscious mind. This is often called herd mentality, and human biology is subjected to it unless they choose not to be fed by this frequency. The only way to accomplish this is to raise their frequency. The mechanics of manifestation. Imagine the Earth, a sphere that is moving through space. It is a toroid. It is spinning on an axis, and it has two poles. Energy comes out of one pole wraps itself around the Earth and goes into the other pole. These are the north and south poles. A toroid is a complex mixture of frequencies composed of everything that the Earth is, including every person, every aspect of nature, every event, and every component of the Earth, each with its own self-sustaining, self-feeding individual toroid. It is an energy, and it is self-feeding or self-energizing, so it does not have to be switched on to operate. Some people call toroidal energy vortex energy. Earth is a spherical ball, and the limit of that sphere, or the energy field around the sphere, is called a magnetosphere. The outer edges of the Earth's magnetosphere is the Van Allen belt. So Earth is sustaining itself within the Van Allen belt. And as there is a low frequency from the Van Allen belt and the lunar matrix, limiting Earth's frequency, Earth is a limited set of low vibrational frequencies. Human beings each have a toroid of their own. Energy goes out from the crown, around the body, and then back into the body. The human toroid is self-feeding with a frequency that is set. So the toroid manifests the physical body, and one of the complexities within this toroid is, for example, the lifespan of a human being. The lifespan of a human being is an idea that limits the lifespan of humans and has a specific frequency. The human being's toroidal energy, or frequency, is encapsulated within Earth's toroidal matrix. So the Earth is also powering up the individual person, as well as the human race. The Van Allen belt and the lunar frequency influences the Earth, and Earth influences everything on the planet. So the energy dynamic of the human being is held by controlled frequencies of the moon, and that is how humans create everything in their lives. The Immersion program. The Immersion program is when a 5D consciousness is brought into a 3D reality. Starseeds can inhabit a body at birth, or they can step into a human biology as a walk-in. The 3D Earth's toroid is the most basic set of frequencies that can be manifested in physicality. 3D is biological life with a level of self-recognition that a soul can inhabit to experience spiritual growth and the contemplation of all things. In relationship to a 3D toroid, a 5D toroid is not only different, it is bigger, or it has a more complex range of frequencies. It could be that the 5D toroidal sphere is 20 or 30 times more complex than the 3D toroidal sphere because the frequencies are higher. The higher the frequency, the more complex the toroid is. The energy becomes more and more complex as the densities go up. All densities are unaware of the densities above them. However, they are aware of the densities that are below them. So the 5D frequency consciousness can read all of the densities below it. However, the 5D consciousness being cannot be read by the densities below it. If a 5D being comes to Earth, the 3D matrix reality can only read up to the 3D frequency band or range of the 5D consciousness, because the 4D and 5D frequency is outside of the range of the 3D matrix frequency recognition. In other words, frequencies have a cutoff point, so the 3D matrix frequency occupies a low frequency range and cannot read any frequency above it. Imagine a 3D Earth, and then bring a being of 5D energy onto 3D Earth, you can see that they are not a frequency match. The lower frequency manifests the frequencies inside it. So a 3D Earth can only interpret any other matrix as 3D. It does not read the higher vibrations. However, the 5D being has been inserted into it. The 3D Earth cannot recognize all of the 5D being, but it can recognize some of it. It can recognize portions of the 5D consciousness up to and including 3D. The higher range of that 5D being who has been inserted on Earth, however, is sending out a ripple effect that interacts with and changes everything around it. That ripple effect is not coherent with 3D matrix consciousness because it is in the 4D and 5D range, and so the 3D matrix consciousness interprets the higher frequencies as a disturbance. There is an imbalance that is left in the 3D matrix consciousness. As a 5D being plus attempts to raise a lower frequency, the lower frequency cannot read the 5D consciousness. The love frequency, for example, cannot dovetail with a 3D frequency of fear. They do not match. A 3D being can only see 3D and can only manifest 3D. It is not until a 3D being does their inner work that they can read or integrate the higher frequency. However, they are now inside of that higher frequency energy that is rippling out. The inserted 5D frequency ripple effect is experienced as confusion or an interference, and the 3D toroid is now affected by it. Energy cannot be destroyed, it can only be transferred, so the 3D toroid feels the 5D frequency because it is inside the 3D matrix, and the ripple effect is experienced as interference or chaos. A 3D consciousness is self-feeding, and if you attempt to influence it with a 5D frequency, it cannot read that frequency because it is too chaotic for the 3D consciousness. It cannot, however, reject the 5D frequency either, because now it is inside with its rippling effect. So its only option is to absorb the higher frequency. When the 3D frequency tries to integrate the ripple of chaos, it begins to change. So now, whatever the transforming 3D consciousness manifests is also changed. The 3D consciousness can now change its timeline and no longer manifests 3D outcomes. The 3D consciousness can now manifest 5D outcomes. When a human being raises their frequency, what they are able to create is now different to what they have been creating, because they have raised the frequency of their toroid. The new higher frequency of that human being now has its own ripple effect, and this can raise both the frequency of humans in range of its frequency, as well as influencing the frequency range of the collective unconscious mind. This is why the starseeds are here. Firstly, by holding a higher vibrational frequency, they are rippling that frequency out wherever they go. And secondly, by raising the human collective unconscious mind of humanity. Starseeds. Most people think that they are their biological body and the negative experiences of anger, loss, and frustration that are the curriculum on 3D Earth. Human beings want a better world. However, they are inadvertently creating what they do not want. Starseeds are here to change that because they are systems busters. There is an energy dynamic that is changing, and many 3D human beings do not understand what is happening. There is a disturbance in their energy field, and that disturbance is raising their energy field. The toroidal energy for the new 5D Earth is a 5D matrix. It is all now in place, and starseeds are energizing it. When a starseed comes from a position of love, there is a confusion that goes out into the Earth's 3D toroidal matrix. The lunar generators are designed to mirror back human frequencies. That is because of the law of mirrors, or cause and effect. However, as the lunar matrix generators are just that, they mirror frequencies, they are also mirroring the higher frequencies that the starseeds or awakening souls are emitting. As higher frequencies are absorbed by a human being, a country, or a planet, this raises the frequency of the entire toroid. As starseeds raise the frequency of a country or planet, that country or planet becomes more open to higher ways of living. That is how the new 5D Earth is being created from the inside. If the change came from the outside, it would be interference. Therefore, the change is created by an internal energy dynamic that is raising the frequency of 3D Earth and creating a new 5D Earth. What is divinity? New Age says that the higher the frequency, the more love, peace, and living in the now is possible. However, New Age does not tell us how to get there. To understand the mechanics of divinity and ascension is a practical undertaking. To wake up to our divinity is to wake up to who we are. It is to integrate our fearful feelings from childhood, and in so doing, transform into a higher density being. This is divinity. In much the same way, consciousness and the ability to process information is ascension. Divinity is transforming oneself into a higher conscious awareness. It is not the God model. The God model is to make divinity and ascension mythical. When an individual understands the mechanics of what is going on, they remove divinity from the realms of the mysterious and bring it into the practical and attainable realms. The higher the frequency, the more a human being can process information, and the more that individual can create. As an individual increases their understandings, they can relocate themselves, including their physical body, anywhere in the universe. Mentoring. When a 5D human being interacts with a 3D human being, and the 3D human being ego perceives its own annihilation through the prospect of ascension, it could be that the 3D ego challenges the 5D frequency human being. The ego wants to defend their position because it senses a disturbance in its own toroid and it is triggered. To mentor, there is a system to elevate another person's awareness without triggering their ego. If an ego is triggered, there is a block, perhaps even an attack, and then it may take some time before the mentor can engage in another conversation with that human being. It is important to read a person's energy and pace oneself depending on who the mentor is speaking with. They may need to go at a faster pace for one person and a slower pace for another person. It is important to understand that there is no pressure. A mentor can only share what they understand about themselves. A mentor needs to grow with higher frequencies and understandings if they want to find solutions so that others can ascend. There is a skill involved when sharing ideas to raise another person's consciousness, and the mentor is required to communicate in a calm, respectful manner, holding a loving space. If another person does not want to engage, it is just a matter of looking at what went wrong so that the mentor can be more successful next time. Nothing is ever too much. A starseed never gives up. A starseed is focused on finding solutions. Tiwana, Tawa, Tiawa.